Hello friends, it's me, Shin, and today I'm coming to you from in front of the Horseshoe here at the Grand Bazaar shops. We're checking out the Ole Red. Happy to have you along with me. Let's head inside. Alright everybody, here we are seated at the Ole Red. This is Blake Shelton's 4-story bar and restaurant concept here on Las Vegas Boulevard, right in front of the Horseshoe, Las Vegas. I believe this is the 6th Ole Red location, and I'm a huge dog person, so I love that it's a restaurant named after a pup, but it's all about the food for me. Let's take a look at what they've got to eat on the menu, starting with the drinks. And here's your drink menu at the Ole Red. Looks like you can get some souvenir cups here. That's pretty cool. Your cocktails, as well as beers and energy drinks. And you have some wines down here as well. And then here is the other side of that beverage menu. Again, your souvenir glasses there look pretty cool. You've got cocktails and mocktails. And additional beers and drafts down here. And there is your drink menu here at the Ole Red. Let's take a look at what they've got to eat next. All of your starters here. Now, unfortunately, the restaurant is so popular that they have a lot of items missing. So I'll see what I can get today. Tacos and sliders over here. And your burgers and sandwiches in the middle. Some specialty burgers down here. And that brings you to the entree list. And here's some salads for you as well. Some sides. And beverages. Now that is a pretty good looking menu. However, as mentioned, it sounds like they've got a lot of items missing today, but we'll try what we can, because you know how it goes in my videos. Every restaurant is a buffet if you're willing to pay. So I'm gonna get a nice variety, and together we'll see what this restaurant's all about. Appetizers are coming up first. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Welcome back everybody. Now our appetizers are here. However, I'm sure you can tell it's a very loud venue. They have live music playing all of the time. So in this video, I'm going to be trying a different style, more of a voiceover so that you can get a clear audio. And let me know in the comments below if this is a style that you enjoy. And so kicking things off are the appetizers. We ordered the fried pickles as well as their loaded tater tots and a dozen of their chicken wings tossed in Ole Red's hot sauce. You have a choice with the standard hot sauce as well as barbecue, honey bourbon, and a Korean barbecue sauce. I was looking to try their nachos as well as their shrimp corn dogs, but they were unavailable for the night, so these are the appetizers that we were able to order. So the first appetizer I went to try were the fried pickles. These come with a choice of barbecue sauce or ranch dressing, and I'll say they were pretty good. I was intrigued with the cornmeal breading as opposed to a typical flour-based coat, though I wouldn't say it led to the crispiest texture. Fortunately, the breading was well seasoned and provided its own slightly sweet corn flavor. That part I did appreciate. I will also say that despite being fried, I didn't think that these fried pickles were super greasy or oily, which was really nice, making them easy to eat. The pickles themselves were a bit on the floppier side. I could have certainly used some additional crunch somewhere, but the flavor of the pickle was quite nice. Sour, briny, and a bit of tang as well. The pickles underneath the breading were definitely playing their part. My friends and I opted for ranch dressing today, and I gave the pickles a dip, and I will say the ranch definitely makes this dish better. Some creamy richness and tang from the ranch brings a new dimension to the fried pickles, bringing a little more balance from the sour and salty. Not a bad fried pickle dish. The next appetizer I went to try were the loaded tater tots. Based on the description, I was expecting a huge flavor bomb here. However, I will say I was a bit disappointed with this dish. I have a very specific preparation in mind when I think of tater tots, and I would describe these more as hash brown nuggets. The exterior was crispy, and that I enjoyed, but the center felt lightly packed, not as well pressed as I would want a tater tot, though for hash browns it feels like it makes a lot more sense. Unfortunately, I thought the overall seasonings were far too light for these potatoes. It was bordering bland, which is surprising because of how much is on the dish. The majority of the saltiness here comes from the bacon and parmesan, and while I typically enjoy those elements in a dish like this, the potato has to come through more or the overall flavor profile feels skewed. The flavors are far too distinct on their own without the potato to ground it. There are bites of this that are incredibly flavorful, and those are the bites that include the smoked black bean aioli. The sauce is very delicious. It's rich, has a bit of smoky earthiness, and a nice salty garlicky hit to it as well. However, I'd say roughly half of the tater tots on the plate did not have any of that sauce on them. So any tots you get with that sauce is really great. Others, semi-bland potato. I've got a lot of mixed feelings with this dish, to be honest with you. And the last bite to try for the appetizers were the chicken wings. As mentioned before, you have 4 sauce choices, and we went with the standard Ole Red's hot, and that's kind of where I have my issue with this recipe. It's not spicy at all. It's almost borderline sweet, but we'll get back to that. I will say they did a decent job on the cook of these wings. They're a tad dry on the inside, but nothing egregious. There's actually a very nice smoky flavor coming from these wings, and that makes sense from how much char you can actually see on the chicken. I'm really torn when it comes to the flavor. The chicken is well seasoned, it's not bland by any means, but I have a very distinct recipe in my mind for hot wings, and so to get wings that are not spicy and almost sweet was a bit off-putting. That's not to say it's a bad flavor. It's smoky, slightly tangy, almost sweet. It is actually pretty decent chicken here. I went to dip it into some ranch as well, and I will say the addition of some creamy richness definitely makes me appreciate these wings more as a standard hot wings than I'm used to, but in general I love my hot wings, and these are not wings that are hot. Smoking wings is what I would call them. Not bad, just not exactly what I was expecting for this one. Now I ordered 4 different tacos and sliders, but the chorizo taco came out with the appetizer, so I went to try this as well before we took a break, and these were pretty decent. Unlike the hot wings, the chorizo taco was very spicy. The Fresno chilies and jalapenos here led to a ton of kick. It's the first flavor that really takes over your palate. The blue corn tortillas here were nice, firm, didn't break under the weight of the taco, though I can't say I really tasted much of that corn flavor, probably because the spice from the peppers were very strong up front. Eventually, the bite does give way to the chorizo meat, which was enjoyable. Very smoky in flavor from that paprika. They've added a great amount of spices to the meat. Good hits of garlic and overall well seasoned, and a bit of richness to that chorizo sausage as well. The salsa verde is almost negligible here. I couldn't really taste a lot of it in the bite, though there was a fair amount of it in the taco. I'm curious if that's because the salsa is bland or there's other flavors that are just too overpowering. I was very surprised. I thought I would get more of that salsa verde. Thankfully, one flavor that does cut through all of the smoky and spicy flavors is the tang from the pickled onions. It comes toward the end of the bite, but does help round out the flavors to be more balanced. Not a bad taco at all, but buyer beware if you're not into spicy foods, this one generates a ton of fire. And there you have it, folks, all of the appetizers I was able to try at the Ole Red. When we return, it's going to be time for some tacos and sliders. I'll see you then. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for some handhelds, and our next round consists of the smoked mushroom taco, blackberry chicken sliders, and black bean sliders. Unfortunately, they were completely out of all seafood this evening, so these are the options I had available to me. Not stopping us, though, we've got plenty more to try. First off was the blackberry chicken slider, and while I was really excited to try this one with the anticipation of a great sweet and salty flavor profile, unfortunately I was not a big fan of this particular dish. Firstly, the bun is far too dense. There's just too much bread for a slider like this. You taste and chew through so much bread up front, it's just not that satisfying. It would be different if the bread was softer and more airy, or at least toasted if it's going to be this dense. But it's not the case, so it's not working for me here. The chicken is decent, moist enough, nice crunchy breading, and a good straightforward seasoning. No real issue with the recipe of the chicken, however, there's just far too little of it in a slider like this when the bread has so much to say in the conversation. The blackberry compote is nice, though you only get a bit of its fruity sweetness in the middle of the bite, and I'd prefer if that flavor lingered longer on the palate. The biggest issue with the slider is that this funky flavor from the goat cheese is too overwhelming. Once the goat cheese is on your palate, you really can't taste anything else to the very end of the bite. It has a bit of a tangy, funk taste similar to a blue cheese, and while a hint of it would work here, it's the dominating flavor. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of this one. Next was the vegetarian black bean slider. I'm sure you can tell how much of the menu was unavailable based on the number of vegetarian items I tried today, though for my vegetarian viewers out there, this one's for you. In regards to the black bean slider, I'd say it was just decent at best. Now the bun for the black bean slider was actually toasted, so that I appreciated. Though the density of the bun is still an issue with me, toasting it does bring a more enjoyable dimension to the bread that helps here. The vegetables are fresh enough, crisp lettuce and sweet tomatoes were both enjoyable, no real issues there. And the black bean patty was decent. Lots of earthy flavors, and they've seasoned it well enough so that it does bring a bit of a savory element to the table that's enjoyable. My biggest issue with the slider is that it is very dry. Because the bean patty doesn't lend to a lot of moisture, this particular slider is in desperate need of some kind of sauce. Some kind of rich, creamy sauce here would definitely help elevate this dish and make it more satisfying to eat, because I found myself reaching for my Diet Pepsi pretty often for this one. The last dish from this round was the smoked mushroom taco. This is another vegetarian dish that we're trying, and I thought it was decent. I got to taste the blue corn tortilla here much more than the chorizo taco, and it did impart a slight sweet corn flavor, no real issues with the tortilla. You definitely get a lot of earthiness from the mushrooms here. I'm actually surprised how well the flavors are standing up to the other elements. I definitely get much more of the salsa verde than the chorizo taco as well, and it's a pretty straightforward salsa verde, not too spicy, but some kick with the zesty flavor. The same black bean aioli from the loaded tots are here, and it's providing a lot of great flavor, though I'm not sure it works as well for the mushrooms as it did for the potatoes. The slaw here is questionable. I don't mind the flavors on their own, but I'm not sure if it's working for me in the taco. Typically a slaw like this is meant to cut through some kind of rich savory element, but the only richness is coming from the aioli, and it's not enough that it requires something to challenge it. The taco does need some kind of a fresh element, so I can see the necessity for something like a slaw, but this particular version isn't working that well here. I think this dish suffers a bit from overcomplication, but it's not terrible. And that's the first round of Handhelds. Another round is coming right after this break, so don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Welcome back everyone, more Handhelds here for our next round with the onion burger, pulled pork sandwich, and chipotle chicken sandwich. More protein this time around, let's go in. First up is the Oklahoma onion burger. Now you may have noticed a bit of daytime nighttime shifts between my footage, and that's because I was at the Ole Red on the day of their grand opening with some friends, and it was then that I realized I would need to figure out some lighting and audio solutions because my standard style wouldn't work. I tried the onion burger then as my meal, and I thought it was incredible. So good that I knew it would make its way onto my 2024 top 10. However, trying it this second time I was not as impressed. I'll break down why. Firstly, the bun here is fine. Though it's denser than a gourmet burger bun, it's still soft enough and holds up to the weight of the burger well. It's slightly sweet, well toasted, and works well for the cheeseburger. No real issues when it comes to the veggies. Again, crisp fresh lettuce, good tomatoes, and sour tank from some pickles. The produce is doing fine here. Now here's my chief issue. When I first tried this burger, they made a real Oklahoma-style onion patty, cooking the caramelized onions into the crust of the burger, and it was incredible. However, in this evening's preparation, they basically cooked a standard burger and topped it with some grilled onions. On that note, I think the onions could have used another 10 minutes or so to really cook out some of the additional bite and get that natural sweetness to caramelize. I wish I could properly articulate the difference in flavors, but I can say a real Oklahoma-style onion patty just has that extra bite to it that makes it stupendous. The burger this evening was fine. I asked for a prepared medium and it was cooked to temperature, seasoned decently as well, but it wasn't an Oklahoma onion burger. It was a very standard cheeseburger topped with grilled onions. No complaints, but knowing what it was before broke my heart a bit. I hope they make that initial recipe more consistently. Next up, I tried their pulled pork sandwich, and at first glance, this looked like a very straightforward recipe that most barbecue sandwich enthusiasts would agree looks very recognizable, and for the most part, I thought it was fine. This is the same potato bun used on the burger, though this one was also untoasted. I'm not sure what the philosophy is when it comes to toasting buns or not at the Ole Red, but I would sure love to hear the reasoning. If the bun was much softer than this, I could see getting away with untoasted bread, but it's not working as well here. The pulled pork is decent, though I will say it was just ever so slightly dry. I would appreciate a little more moisture there, but for the most part, the pork was tender enough for the sandwich. The barbecue sauce applied to the pork is tasty, a smoky, tangy barbecue sauce that's not as sweet as typical sauces I'm used to, but as not a detractor, I actually think it's quite good. The slaw here works well, a nice amount of vinegar to provide some tang and help cut through the smoky savoriness of the pork, and the crisp from the vegetables provide a nice juxtaposition to the textures of the pork and bread. A softer bun with slightly more moist pork, and I think this sandwich is a real winner. And the last sandwich to try this round is the Chipotle chicken salad sandwich, and while not exactly what I was expecting, I thought this sandwich was actually pretty decent. From all the dense buns I've had today, getting this thick Texas toast was a welcome treat. It was buttered and toasted, with a bit of a crusty crunch to the bite. I really like the bread for the sandwich. The chicken salad was good, moist cubes of chicken meat and a decent amount of it in the salad. It made for a satisfying bite. I wouldn't say the Chipotle sauce is spicy, but there is just a bit of heat there, and it's quite nice on the palate. Both the lettuce and celery provide a crunchy element in the sandwich, though it's not as pronounced because you get some crunch from that bread. The avocados are actually providing a creamy richness to the bite, also helping cool down some of the spice in that Chipotle chicken salad. I will say I think the sandwich is missing just a little something. While the Chipotle chicken salad is decently seasoned, the spice is more dominating than the savory, and so an extra salty element like some pepper jack cheese would really help round out the flavors and elevate the sandwich to the next dimension. All said though, it's not bad at all. And next I wanted to try their sides as well, starting with the french fries. And I gotta say, the french fries are excellent. Fantastic cook on these fries. They have a nice crunch on the exterior and a pillowy soft center. I love the textures here. These are some very well seasoned french fries, great levels of salt and pepper, and I get a good taste of the potato here also. I have no complaints at all when it comes to the french fries here. They're very good. The next side to try were the tater tots, and these look to be the same tots from the loaded tots appetizer. Similar to my criticisms on the appetizer dish, I felt like these tots were just under-seasoned. It mostly tastes like oil and unseasoned potato. In letting go of the traditional definition of tater tot, the textures as a hash brown nugget are fine, though I would prefer a more compacted center for a satisfying bite. I'd personally be going in on the french fries over the tater tots every time here. And now, there's only one more round of food to go. I'll see you on the other side of this break. Welcome back for the last round, my friends. We got the chicken and waffles, club sandwich, and a corn salad. Yes, a salad. They're out of everything, but let's do this. First off, the chicken and waffles. And I'm a huge fan of chicken and waffles. I used to go to Roscoe's in Long Beach, California quite often because I love salty and sweet. Starting with the chicken first on this dish, I gotta say it was very good. Crispy, crunchy skin on that chicken, it was well fried, nice timing there, and the chicken inside was juicy and tender. No real issues when it comes to the cook. In general, there was a good seasoning to both the chicken as well as the batter, not bland by any means, but I would say it's a simple and straightforward seasoning blend. You get a nice hit of sweetness coming from that syrup in the middle of the bite, letting you truly experience the dichotomy between salty and sweet flavors. Big fan of the chicken. Trying the waffle next, I was a big fan of this as well. A very crispy exterior to that waffle with some sugar crystals creating for an additional crunch as well as a very sweet flavor. The inside of the waffle is cakey and very sweet, two aspects you want in your waffle. A bit of vanilla there to go along with those sweet bursts from the candied exterior. The waffle is very tasty. When you put the two together, it does create for quite an involved big bite, but this was easily my favorite of the night. Sweet, savory, salty, a bit of an additional woodsy sweetness from that syrup, and then round it out with some additional salty flavors from the fried onions available also. I'm a big fan of the chicken waffles at the Ole Red. Next was the street corn salad. Now I really wanted to try the ribs, some mahi-mahi or salmon, but they were completely out of seafood in those for the evening, and so the street corn salad sounded the most interesting. In general, it was a fine salad. I was expecting much more from the fire roasted sweet corn. For one, there wasn't a ton of it on the salad, though the kernels I did get on the fork tasted nice. Good natural sweetness of the corn as well as a bit of smokiness from the roasting. The vegetables here have all been fresh, no real complaints when it comes to the quality of the produce. With some cooling, mild flavors from the cucumber and a little bit of bite from the raw onions, the salad veggies were definitely doing their job. You get a bit of creaminess from the avocados and a bit of saltiness from that cotija cheese, and the lime crema is quite nice here, offering a bit of richness to the overall bite as well as provide a little bit of acid. Truth be told though, I would personally prefer if they increased the amount of lime and salt in that dressing just a little bit. Getting some greens and something fresh after a lot of heavy food is actually quite nice, and if they doubled the amount of corn that comes in the salad and amped up that dressing a little bit, this could go from good to great. And the last dish that was available for the evening was the club sandwich. I've probably eaten somewhere between 100 and 32 trillion club sandwiches in my lifetime, and while they're never my first go-to order, I've never not enjoyed a club sandwich. It's a classic and really hard to mess up in my opinion, and I'm happy to report that the Ole Red has a fine club sandwich. They're using that Texas toast from the Chipotle chicken sandwich, and it's just as good here. I'm a fan of the Texas toast at the Ole Red. I really like the use of both ham and turkey in this club. You get that additional flavor from the ham, which has a hint of sweetness from its bacon honey. And the turkey is fine as well, not dry, not too salty either, which can be an issue sometimes with deli turkey meat. And they're both doing good work in the club. The bacon is easily the saltiest element, which should be the case in a club sandwich, though for a triple decker this big, I think it may require an additional slice or two. No issues when it comes to the veggies here, and I love the use of white cheddar cheese. It's sharper than American, which is nice when there's 3 different meats here. I didn't see any mayonnaise on the sandwich, and while I wouldn't say the sandwich was dry, I would have personally appreciated a bit of mayo in there. All in all though, this was a fine club sandwich. And because they don't have a dessert menu at the Ole Red, this was all the food I tried for the evening.
Alright everyone, now that does it for my dinner here at the Ole Red. Dinner for me and my friends came out to just over $280, and I will say this is a pretty cool venue. Very unique, a great vibe, but I will say some of the dishes definitely leave a little bit to be desired. But they do have some dishes here that are definitely worthwhile. I think in general the chicken and waffles was my favorite dish of the night, but I will say it's a bit of a shame that I didn't get to try as many dishes as I wanted to. I want to say at least a third of the menu was unavailable today. Some of their most popular items, it would have been great to try, but for the dishes they had available, at least there were some good things in there. And there you have it, folks. That's all for the Ole Red today. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye.